here. 3, 2, 1. Hey, greetings. Welcome back to the Soul Producers. I'm Griffin Gaming RPG, and you are here with the Soul Citizens producers, my good friends Fastcart FC and SerriousFun. What's up, my brothers? How are you?
Every day is an absolute blessing. What's going on? How are you?
Good. FC?
Griffin, you threw me back to the 90s with that brothers greeting. I appreciate it. Thank you for
that. brothers. Yeah. Today is December the 8th, and we're doing this actually before our regular Sunday show. Running a little bit behind. We want to give a special shout out to our patrons on Patreon and YouTube. Thank you guys always for supporting us. These shows are done each month for you. We're running a little bit behind this month, but we wanted to kind of close out this particular year producers episode coming from a little bit of a different perspective. You know, we try to have these things based upon the heartbeat of the community and what's going on, and this show is not any different than some of those other ones. This one in particular, I want to kind of talk about this thing called Skyfall. Most of you guys are familiar with this term from the James Bond film, which I still haven't seen to this day. I keep saying I'm going to watch it. Everybody says it's so good. I know. Don't start. Okay.
No, I've got to figure out if I've seen it. I've seen one of them. I don't remember which one I've seen.
He's like, you what?
Both of y'all about to get it.
Okay, I know I need to see it. And anyway, I thought that's because, you know, recently there's been a lot going on. You guys know this already. And maybe you guys can give some feedback to what you've been hearing in relation to some decision making that's been going on at CIG. Some of the things, for example, are when we hear about employees leaving. Some of it is about changes in the game. 4.0 was supposed to have some features in it, and then CIG said, hey, we're not going to implement these features. For some people, it's been the financing, right? That CIG, right now, they're about 10 to 12% behind where they normally would be this time of year with their revenue, and is concerned about, is the company failing? Is this the end? Is the sky falling, right? This word Skyfall, when I looked up the definition, SerriousFun, can you pull it up? I put it in our producers thing. Could you read what that definition is there real quick? Because I don't have it readily available.
If you put them on the spot, I have it right here if you want me to.
Well, okay. Well, if you got it, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Skyfall, the lyrics closely follow the plot of the film rather than focusing on romanticism. According to Ep.8, the song is about death and rebirth, saying it's like when the world ends and everything comes down around your ears. If you got each other's back, you can conquer anything.
Okay. So it's like the death of something, but then a rebirth. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. There are some people who are feeling a certain kind of way about all that's happening, and some people who feel very fatalistic about what's going on. Like, you know, I was watching another video today where people talking about they're downgrading their fleets because they think that the game's going to go something different than what they want. And mind you, there is some changes that are coming up, but there's some people who've gone into melting, and there's a lot of like doubt, pessimism, uncertainty, mistrust. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I'm kind of feeling like, you know, we've talked about what are the hurdles. I know, SerriousFun, you and I have had this conversation about the technical hurdles, right? We talked about back when it was SOCs and when it was the replication layer and now it's server meshing. But you and I also had a conversation. iCache, yeah. But then,
yeah.
But then we had this conversation about what are those esoteric hurdles, right? What are those intangible things that might have to do more with the heartbeat of the community and where the community's head is? And how do we push through those hurdles, right? How do we get past some of that? Because there's a lot of passion and emotion involved with these people who've gotten behind this plan. So, Sirius, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because you've talked about it takes a lot to push through this. This is a unique project. You've talked about this before.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, part of this is about deciding to see the project a certain way, right? when I began to catch feelings about this project, it was in the context of an overall philosophy of life, right? Um, do I, how do I, in the midst of all that's going on in everybody's lives, right? How do I continue to derive a level of positive engagement from this project in terms of the things that I can control, right? And for me, regardless of what CIG does, I can control that I'm engaged in a good community. Regardless of what CIG does, I can control seeing this project and deciding that alpha is alpha. And so I'm going to look at it over the long term. I can decide that I'm going to get positive impact from this this process by making a decision that this is not the roller coaster of the moment, but this is a journey that I'm on, right? And getting then excited about where it will take me and being okay with not knowing exactly the final destination, right? And that was both an intellectual and an emotional and a spiritual decision to make about this project, right? And that again sprung from a particular philosophy of life. I get that the foundation that got me there isn't everybody's foundational relationship with the project, right? A lot of people come into the project with a foundational relationship that is strictly consumerist, right? A lot of people come into the relationship with a project that is sort of financial analysis, right? Other people come into the project with a relationship that is sort of like, game development, armchair quarterback, right? I've decided, but I have evolved to a place where my relationship with the project is almost like Sinbad or Odysseus. I'm on the boat. We're going on an adventure. We're gonna see some dragons, right? We're gonna dance with some beautiful women, right? We're gonna see some exotic shores. Ultimately, how the journey is gonna end, we don't know yet. I've got some good companions to be on the journey with, and for me, that has made the journey worthy in and of itself, right? So,
Okay.
so
FC,
that's sort of where I'm at.
Instead of dragons, we're going to see sandworms. So I think there's a little bit
Yeah,
of
Valakar, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
FC, what
What were you
about
gonna
you
say,
though?
Griff?
What about you though? I mean, you've been in here a long time too, and you've seen changes, and I'm sure some of the changes have been, changes that you can get behind, and there's some changes that are questionable. Time is a factor. We're all older guys, those are realities that we're addressing. And we know that there are people who've been in this project who, not to be funny, they're no longer with us. How do you, everybody can have their own way of approaching it. What's your approach to kind of dealing with the disappointments, or the changes that come up, even the more unexpected changes? I want to reference those more than the ones that are expected.
Let me first address that. It seemed to me like when early on, like maybe 2016 onward, whenever a new backer came into the project, it would be like they would be a bit less impatient than the backers who came before, because they weren't necessarily starting with the Kickstarter. They were starting with maybe let me check this game out, and I like this game, and then they get, I don't want to say stuck with it, but they get used to how the game is, and that's how they perceive the game will always be, not knowing that the developers, Chris Robertson and quite a few other people, were saying that this is just for testing purposes. This is the final destination. We're still on a journey to reach the final destination, so things will change. But it seemed like 2016 on, new backers weren't getting that. Currently, it's like the older backers who backed before 2016 seem to be saying, this is taking quite a bit long. So you have to. That's how it seemed to me. Like the older backers, the long-term backers, seem to be losing their patience now.
But how are you dealing with it though?
I'm not dealing with it. I'm here for the community. I mean, like the community and Soul Citizen. We get to do. I get to do Soul Talk every Thursday. You get to do Soul Voices. I time in on that, and then Soul Citizens on Sunday. I'm here for the community, just hanging out. So I'm having fun, and there's no dollar value that I can put towards that. So I mean, maybe that's how it is for me. I wish that some people who are frustrated would have a community that they could depend on and go to maybe not put them out of the frustration, but ease frustration a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's that. And I think, again, that's sort of the point that you read in the definition about Skyfall was about being around people that help you get through, that period of time that's there. And I want to say this because I've seen this happening even in our community, that people will be dismissive of people who are really having issues. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody's not going to like the game. Everybody's not going to like the path. And I'm not saying we got to go out here and make, converts of everybody. But there are some people out there who, as you said, fastcart, came in at a different period of time. Some people who've just gotten used to, some people who, and I know, say, well, they should do the research. And I get that. It's so easy to say that, but
that's too much.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 12 years of, TV shows, newsletters, thousands of hours. And then you've got to really want to dig in. And some people have, don't get me wrong. There's some people who just, they eat, drink, and sleep this stuff. There are other people who just don't even have the time to do that, So let me show you guys something. I want to do it. Let's do a quick reflection here. And
hello, and welcome.
Let me stop this real quick here. I didn't mean for that to jump that quick. Let me stop this for 1 second. I'm taking this back here. Serious, I don't know if you were around back at this point. When did you come in? 13, right?
I came in December of 2013.
Oh, yeah. So you were around back then. So okay, so this is something we all going to identify with. So let me run a few minutes of this video because I'm not being nostalgic, but I want to set the clock back to when we were first excited. And I want you to listen to this guy's video and listen to how excited he is. And I want you to look at what he's looking at that he's so excited about.
Hello, and welcome. This is Star Citizen, the Hanger mod. Oh my god, I cannot talk right now. The Hanger module. All right. Well, this is my freelancer. I love it. Awesome. Very awesome ship. Let me go ahead and just go ahead and give me a ship. Okay. Much. This is a really big cargo hold. I'm gonna put so much cargo in here. It's gonna be awesome. Woo! Oh wow! I wouldn't imagine trying to drive something up to that. You'd be like going really high. Now this is like pre alpha. So any bugs, glitches, or anything like sort is work in progress. Very much so. So I'm gonna move on to the front of the freelancer. I'm in the seat. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Are you ready to take off? Okay, here we go. Check out the ship, shall we? Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. I like it. You can put double guns right there. That first gun is right in the middle of the screen. You see it? That barrel thing right there? Yeah. Well, there are two of them. And I'll show you that here in a second. Got some rockets on the side. You got some. Ooh, look at that. I can look through the back. Awesome. Oh, yep. You got turret on the back here. Here's the hollow table where I can make adjustments to my boats, ships, whatever you want to call them. So grab a ship. Okay, I'm gonna go to the weapons real quick. Okay, let me exit out. Look at that. See? Two guns. Bam. That's gonna be rocking power once I get four guns in front of this thing. So this is the Aurora. That's my freelance. You can tell the difference in size, like totally. A lot. Those are two guns right there in front. Bam. If not, then this thing sucks. So over here is the, I think this is the Hornet actually. This is the one you get. You don't get it for free or anything. You have it for the ability to use the dogfighting module, which I want to hop into real quick and maybe jump into A dog fight. I don't know. Forgot how to freaking board this thing. I'm gonna stand back there. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Good. Hop in. Take it out. Spin. Beautiful interior. Love it. I almost feel like getting into some planet side though. Got some like tealish colors going here. All right. Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's do Broken Moon. Vandu Swarm. Yeah. Launch to the other side.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I'm looking at both of you guys.
Memories.
Both of you guys are smiling.
Memories.
Both of you guys are smiling. FC, I'll go to you first here. What did you think of that little tour he did at the very beginning? And do you remember back then?
That hangar was actually before my time. Like I came in October 2014, so I don't remember seeing that version of the hangar. Really big cargo hold. Oh, you sweet summertime.
Yeah.
Really big cargo hold. Okay, but I will say that hollow table is going to trigger some folks. Yeah, be prepared for them comments about that hollow table, Griffin. And oh my goodness, how slow it was to get into the ship back then. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad they sped it up. I don't even remember when they sped it up. It was a gradual thing over time almost, or maybe it happened all at one time, but I don't remember when they sped it up. But yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Serious, how about you? What triggered thoughts in your head when you saw some of this?
Well, the hollow table and the fact that you used to get into the Hornet to get into Arena Commander, that was after you used to get into the sim module, get into Arena Commander. So, I used to do this. This is what I used to do. I used to have an Aurora. I used to come every now and then, get into the hangar module, get into ship, right? Walk around, look around, see if there's any changes, and then get out. And then every now and then do some Arena Commander. This was Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Right. For a long time, this was the tantamount to, and I used to have the Revel in York hangar.
Yes.
So you'd have this big hangar. You go all around the hangar and everything, and put multiple ships out and walk around and look at them. And hope one day that you would be able to take them somewhere and do something, and just it was back when everybody was dreaming about what this could be, right? And it just reminds me that the closer that we get to a product, the more that we're going to be in Chris Roberts' dream, right? And that'll be in alignment with some folks in the way they've been dreaming, and it will not be with others. And hopefully CIG can capture enough of the different types of dreams to keep most people involved most of the time. But yeah, this was back when we would sit in there and just dream about it.
The thing I wanted to show. Go ahead, fastcart.
We were making noise while we were in the cockpit, imagining ourselves in the dogfight. And I was going to say that I'm with you with the Revel in York hangar. That had the best lighting, in my opinion, to show off the ship.
Yes,
in my
opinion. The thing here that sticks with me is the excitement that he had. We all had that excitement at some point, whether you came in 12 years ago or 2 years ago, the first time you walk on a ship and you feel like it's yours, and you walk through it, and maybe you've been watching videos of other people on theirs, but now you're actually in the game yourself, right? What we're seeing, what you guys are looking at now, are really early videos. This person has kind of done a thing of over 12 years. But my question becomes, how do you recapture that? Because there's an erosion when you wait around 3, 4, 6, 8 years, and that erosion is a very slow process where you can find yourself feeling like, is it ever going to get done? Why is this happening now? And to Fastcart's point, he said there are people who came into the game where the game was in a different space. And to your point, SerriousFun, we're now starting to see all those pieces, those years of development and learning and research and technology that can now produce what Chris really wants this game to be. Those steps were necessary to get there, though. Some people feel like maybe there's bait and switch. My ship used to do this, now it doesn't do this. I don't think it's a bait and switch. I think it's the fact that I think we watched the one young lady's name. I can't think of her name now. I just sent the video out recently. She's a dev at CIG, and she said that CIG said you can make. She gives an example of pizzas, and she says that you can go out and buy a frozen pizza, or you can go out and get a pizza where you buy the dough, and then you buy the tomato sauce and you buy the sausage. He said, then there's the difference in making your dough from scratch. There's a difference between making the sausage by hand. There's a difference between picking the tomatoes. She said, that's what we're doing. It's an entirely different process. It's not the manufactured process that is most accessible these days, or what most companies do. But we started from scratch to make our own thing. And that is a different process, an entirely different process. And all these other things have to happen. Make the dough, grow the potatoes, grind down the sausage, pick the parsley or the basil. All that has to happen before you can even begin to assemble the pieces together to make the pizza. Then you got to throw it in the oven, right? And so you said this earlier, SerriousFun, some of it is a matter of perspective. And if people are looking for the grocery store, I got a frozen pizza, they're going to have one sentiment about why things aren't finished. Why isn't the pizza done yet? If you're the person who bought the ingredients that somebody else made and you just want to come home and throw them together, you're going to have a different schedule for when the pizza should be made, But if you're the guy that had to go to the farm and then go to the garden, and then the guy that got, then it's a different perspective. And
to be fair, to be fair to those who are some of those who are really frustrated, right? Because you can go and look at the discourse right now, for example, around the Paladin versus the changes to the Corsair and the Redeemer, and you can see thousands of upvotes for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that I haven't really seen before. But I'm not seeing, Spectrum is full of people who just want to take shots. But when you sift through that, I'm also seeing people just going, help me understand the rationale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Help me understand the why behind why this change. Right?
Can I ask you a question? Stop right there for a second. I got to ask you a question. Do you think CIG owes that now? And I'm going to be real careful on how to ask this question. Sometimes I feel like because the information's been out there for so long and it's been rehearsed, that maybe sometimes CIG thinks that people really know. Like they really know. There's some people who do really know. But do they need to, like they did at the end of CitizenCon this year, right? They finally laid out 1.0 and gave us a graphic visual idea of this is the game we've been trying to build. That's the first time we've seen that since Chris's original projection in a hard copy way, since 3.0. Do they need to do that for a generation of both old and new backers to kind of help bring those answers? Because it seems like trying to research it, that's not going to do it. You know what I mean? Self-researching isn't going to come up with all those conclusions that they need.
I think that there are two things here. One is what CIG can, should, and must do, and then there's the community that has to do certain things no matter what CIG does, right? So if we talk about what CIG can, should, and must do, I think that every opportunity that they have to refine, clarify, even if the answer is we don't know right now, right? We're going to come back to it. They need to I think they should take every opportunity to do that. I am experiencing the changes and the new ships as one of 150 that are coming, right? I think every ship is going to get tweaked. There's going to be new ships that sit in between ships. I feel like this is this is how the project has been and how it's going to go. But they haven't said that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I said that Fastcart, you had your hand up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say that I think it becomes a question of, yeah, to answer your question, Grill, I believe that they should do it at this time, at the present time. But then the question becomes, how often do they reiterate that point?
Yeah.
Every 6 months, every year, maybe at least every year, maybe every 6 months, or maybe I don't know. There's always new backers.
But my problem has been like, we've been around a long time, and we've gathered those bits and pieces both from our own research, from talking to each other, educating each other. We've had that what SerriousFun called earlier, and you both called community. We've had that thing to build that support system for us, right? The times when we were wrong or we misconstrued something or we heard something different, there was somebody there who, hey, here's the link or here's the website or here's the video that talked about that. We had that, right? I'm not saying that they should do it on any particular schedule, but this is the thing that I think is the Achilles heel. If a backer wanted to go to the CIG, the RSI website right now, they couldn't find it.
I agree.
The website could not give them that right now, even if it was nothing more than that display that Richard Trier put up at the end that showed this is our vision of Tyra. They couldn't even, and they'd have to go to CitizenCon 2954 last session, 1 hour and 42 minutes in to see it. Who's going to know that? And so I think to SerriousFun's point, any opportunity they have, that should have been a display point for me. Now the difficulty in that is that it becomes the Bible for folks too when they put that stuff out there, because it also takes away any latitude and room unless they do like SerriousFun and says, hey, this is what we posted. This is what we want. This is what we want to do. And I understand there are people who want CIG to commit to certain things. And then there's that point where they need to leave themselves some breathing room in case technology doesn't allow, or financing doesn't allow, or research doesn't allow, so that if they need to change something, or even if it's just a better idea comes in.
Yeah, that's where I come back to. There's stuff that CIG can, should, must do, but then there's stuff that the community has to do, right? There's stuff that individuals and groups of individuals, I think, ought to consider. Now, people are going to do what they want to do, right? But, as we talk as a community, if we're in a conversation with ourselves, I will submit very readily that there are ways to hold all of this and be empowered, right? And not be in despair, right? Beethoven said, "How do I?" And this is a Beethoven that's going deaf while trying to compose music, right? He says, "How do I look unflinchingly at all that's going on in the world and still attempt not just to love beauty, but to create something beautiful, right?" And I use that a lot in different narratives, right? So in this particular case, it's how do I look unflinchingly at the inconsistency that I perceive in CIG. The potential harms that their inconsistency does, right? Hold on to their humanity as individuals who we've met and now spent a decade with, right? And still attempt to enjoy, or more, right? And still attempt to not only enjoy the game, but to create interesting things in the game community inside and out, right? And wrestling with that question, right, makes the journey replete with worth, right? For me, if you have the financial analysis perspective exclusively, if you have the consumer perspective exclusively, right, I'm not sure how you go a decade as strictly a consumer in this environment and not be shot through with anger and despair, right? Yeah. I choose not to do that, so I choose a different perspective, right? I take the ownership and control that I can take, right?
Yeah.
But some people, that's where they are on it, and I want to ask them to consider evolving their relationship with the project so that they're more empowered, right? I don't want people to walk around angry and despairing. Right. I want them to find a place that allows them to be okay. Yeah. Right? And some people will say some people will be binary about it. I'm only going to be okay when I perceive I'm getting return on my investment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this ain't your 401k.
Whether that's time
Are
or
we being, some people would decide to label sunk cost fallacy and stuff like that. I'm not going to even say that. Are we being naive?
I don't believe so.
Are there enough red flags to break naivete, or are we willing to say there are red flags but stay vigilant? I mean, how do you balance that so that you don't seem like people are you're being dismissive of concerns that people raise, right? Because people can also feel like not that you're white knighting, but you're white knighting, right? That you're ignoring the signs, right? I mean, are we being naive? Or
I don't believe
and I'm saying, how do we check ourselves that we're being objective is what I'm asking. How do we check ourselves to make sure that we're being objective? Because we could very easily fall into, swing the other way, right? Just like we're saying they've committed to this, so you all committed to that. How do we gauge ourselves that we're being objective?
I mean, to me, I hear what people are saying, especially when it comes with Demon and the Corsair and the
Paladin.
Not the Paladin, thank you. And I hear them, and I see where they're coming from, and they want to put certain labels on what the practice is, but it seems to me that this is all a development process. It's still part of the development process. CIG didn't. How do I say this? CIG can still change some stuff, even though they've already put out the stuff here, and they can attribute it to balancing, because we don't know what the final 1.0 or even beyond 1.0 how everything is going to mix and match and put together.
Right.
So the changes they make now may not make sense to us, but to them it may make perfect sense. We just can't see, because even though they're all open development, it's not 100% transparent. And we can't see everything. We can't know everything. But I wanted to go back to a certain point. Griffin, you asked, what can CIG or community do to recapture those moments early on? I think the Polaris is a perfect example of recapturing that moment, because you described it when you first walked in that ship. You had a sense of awe on that ship, and I think that maybe as CIG were to commit more to filling out the ship that hasn't been released yet, what do you call them?
Backlog.
The backlog. If CIG were to commit more to that, it would give more to the community that sense of put it that way. And I believe the developer you were talking about with Kelly Drex. That's the one.
Yes, Kelly Drex. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Kelly Drex. Yeah. Serious, were you going to say something? Wrap it up.
Well, I think when you talk about naivete, right, and this idea of you're just blind to, people will say you're just blind to the rapaciousness of CIG as corporation, right? Like, no, it would be naive for you to think that people who have this in their beard and this color skin are naive to that, right? There's lots of places and spaces where I am responsive in a binary way to things not being right?
Yeah.
But to your point about accountability and objectivity, and even to the point of the video you just showed, right? If I count up the individual instances of optimism and joy and pleasure and community engagement that I've gotten from this project over the past 11 years, 12 years, right? All of that adds up, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands, millions of instances.
Yeah.
Where being engaged with Star Citizen has brought me pleasure. And here's what I believe. I believe that people that are still engaged with this project have had those moments too.
Yeah.
Right? That's why they're still around. That's part of why CIG has historically said, even when people are angry, we understand that and we engage with it, because that means they're still engaged with the project. Now, there's anger and then there's anger, right? People are frustrated with the change. That's different than them talking about their relationship to the project and where they're going to stay in relationship with the project. Right. And I think CIG's got to catch that.
Yeah.
Right. But for us on the community side, we've got to acknowledge that the whole continuum of people in our community who are still talking about the project are talking about it for, why are you talking about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it continues to matter to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then the question for us is, how do we take the energy that you have and help play our role in helping position people to be empowered by it every day?
Yeah.
Right. Now, some people won't get there. Right. But for me, that's the point in community.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is to try and say, how do we how do we get people to a place where they could be better, right, than they were the day before, with regard to something. So, and you can call that naive if you want to, right? But I don't know how else to function.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's especially hard with so many other content creators going the other way. Not necessarily against us, but just trying to, I don't know, to sow doubt, and for whatever reason, whether it be clickbait, whether it be because they really believe it, or just they think that they're trying to drive backers to their understanding, and they think that backers will feel better if they come around to them, but I don't think that backers will.
Yeah,
put it that way.
Well,
Confirmation.
we talked on Griff's show about investigative journalism versus reporting, and you'd have to talk about reporting versus content creation, right? Yeah. Content creation isn't even reporting, right? Yeah. Content creation is algorithm manipulation, right? And so, this journey of something that goes up must come down is most exacerbated in reality television and content creation, right?
Yeah.
If you've talked about it on the way up and something is here now, what else is there to maintain clicks but to talk about it coming down, right? That's how you keep just stimulating and titillating people, right? Is with the journey of up to down. So now that Star Citizen has had this billion-dollar journey, nearly billion-dollar journey, what else is there for content creators but to hit it until it falls down, right? Yeah. I think we have to as a community decide whether that stuff is central or peripheral to the journey we're on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, to your point,
as we create content. Sorry,
that's okay.
I was going to say something like that.
Yeah. Now, to Fastcart's point and your point, I listen to a lot of folk. I'll drop some names just for the sake of it, because they're more than this that I listen to and watch. But I'll watch Board Gamer, I'll watch Salty Mike, I'll watch Space Tomato, I'll watch Grumpy Eye, I'll watch DG360. I'll watch Burks. My point is, for us, because of what we do, it's important that we not find ourselves in our own confirmation bubble, and that we listen to everybody in the community. Doesn't mean that we support everything that they say and do, but in order for us to be able to deliver and not be naive, we also have to have our own finger on the pulse of what we're hearing people say, whether it's good or bad, whether we like it or not. That's our whole point of Soul Citizens, is to try to promote things, but we also want to be aware. We don't want to be ignorant of how the community feels or what the vibrations are that are going through the community. And I have had concerns about whether CIG always is aware. And there could be a danger of there being so much vitriol through Spectrum that people can subconsciously begin to shut down, because that takes a toll on you. Reading certain things a certain way every day, we're still human. The people who are working at that company are still human. So for those of you who are watching this, next month, in our month of January, in our first quarter, we are going to have a show where we're going to bring some good friends of ours on who have expressed concern about how CIG operates. This isn't blame. It's because, as you said earlier, it's serious, and I think you said, Fastcart, these are people who care about the project. and they just want good communication. They want to, and they're not speaking for themselves. They're saying that we think these things would be helpful to the community. And can CIG, do they know about it? Do they know that this is how some of us are really feeling? Some of us who've been here on this ride, as you mentioned, SerriousFun, they've been on this ride a long time too. Aaron Tim, I know, been here 2-3 years. These are folks who've been here for 10 years, and they just, they've been holding it in, but they just feel, just give us a little more. Just give us that little bit more that lets us know that it's going to be okay. And we're going to have some of those folks on in January. We're going to do a show because we want to give that platform. A lot of folks might think we white knight, but we can be critical. And if you've ever hung around with our conversations after shows, there's some intense debates that take place. But we are trying to be uplifting to the community. That's our thing. And we're hoping that you guys will be ready for that show when it comes up. We're also going to have a developer who's going to come on our show in the first quarter. That's going to give some insight to those of us who are, as you put it, SerriousFun, quarterback developers, arm seat, backseat core developers. We're going to have a real developer come on and give an assessment of how they see the development process of Star Citizen. And if they're maybe making some good decisions, or maybe if they're doing some questionable things, we're gonna have that come on too. So we're willing to take on those challenges as a part of what we do for the Star Citizen community. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank my co-producers, fastcart and SerriousFun, sharing their insights and their thoughts. This is one of those shows where I gave them a little bit of information so they'd be prepared, and they were more than prepared to cover this topic. And I hope you guys enjoyed this topic as well. As always, we're going to put this out tonight to our Patreon and our YouTube subscribers. This will be on within 24 hours for the general public. If you guys like it, give us your comments, give us your thoughts about what you heard and your sentiments about Skyfall. The things that may seem like they're going a certain way, but this is a time of rebirth for Star Citizen. That's what we believe. And we believe that it's going to be a good thing when it's all said and done. It may be a little turbulent time. Pardon the expression, y'all, turbulent, right? But it's going to be something that we're going to push through together with as a community along with CIG. So to my brothers here, as always, thank you guys again. To those of you who watch, we appreciate you as always. And hopefully we'll see you at one of our shows. Till then, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the holidays. Those of you who celebrate holidays during the month of December. And of course, the new year. We'll see you guys in January. And as always, peace, love, and soul. Ciao. Take care.